Zach is fantastic. The other three, like, central characters here are Angeal, Genesis, and Sephiroth.
I know one of them. They're in Smash. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan. And joining me, as always, are my good friends, Hunter and Kyle. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Ethan, I see you brought out the Christmas tree, finally.
I did. I also, the battery for my light broke, so we're just going with darkness and a fireplace for this week, because that's all I have, because it was like, the options were, like, you've seen, like, if you have, like, coloured bulbs in houses or whatever, the strobe lights, the regular setting is, like, the most artificial, like, bright, horrid white that you can imagine, and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I do
it's
not
got,
want
like,
that.
lights that
I'd rather sit
are
in
in my
darkness with a fireplace. Well, yours is indirect. Mine is, like, right above me, so it just, like, shine. Like, it's awful. So
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like if I were to take the two lights that are over here and, like, were to face them right in my face, it would be most unpleasant.
Yeah, it's not great, so here we are. Anyway, I'm getting in that Christmas spirit. I don't feel it. It doesn't feel like it's nearly Christmas, to be honest. I don't know why. I'm not into it. Is it because I'm still working? Is it because I'm still working before, like, up until, like, the line? Is that why? I don't know.
Is it because I wish it was still Halloween? Probably.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's your countdown. You're just like, oh boy, just another 10 months till Halloween.
Yeah, very true.
I don't know, man. It finally snowed where I live today, so...
The weather thing
least
on my
getting something.
computer is claiming that it is snowing on and off, but that is the most it's snowed.
I've just been getting, like,
since-
-6, -10 weather with frost every day and frost every night. I love driving to work, having to defrost the car, then going to work, working late, and then going back to my car and it being frosted again and doing the same thing, then driving home, and then it's just like, I just hate it. I hate this time of year for driving. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
I hate it. But hey, at least we have we have a Christmas gift from the gaming Santa, which is High on Life, Final Fantasy VII Reunion bollocks, and whatever. River City Girls 2, that was it, right?
River City Girls
Yeah.
2, yes.
Hey, I did my homework. So we've got plenty of new games to talk about before the Christmas season. Kyle decided now was a great
Kyle
time
fell
to
down a rabbit
start
hole.
the critically acclaimed MMORPG that's free up to level 60. Final Fantasy XIV, so we'll get Kyle's first impressions on that. And we'll just see how it takes us, I guess. Might be a shorter one this week, which I feel like is fair enough, because we have to pre-record the Christmas one this time round, especially because the weekend is Christmas. Why do you do this?
We have to do Game Awards stuff.
We do. We have to do our own Game Awards.
Game
Talk about our game.
The real Game Awards.
Yeah. The Hot Game Awards, dude. That's what we just stick a heart in front of it. There you go. That's all we need. So we've got plenty to look forward to, regardless. But hey, if you're new here, welcome on in. This is the HGO podcast. Every week we come to you and talk about everything we love in the world of gaming. You can find us on podcast services. Just search for Hot Gamers Only, or go to youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only, where you can look at our stupid faces each and every week. No real housekeeping. Thank you for all the support as you continue to do so. I don't know why, but it's been nice to see quite a lot of support on podcasts and videos recently. So thank you. If you're new, we appreciate you. Stick around. Leave us a positive review. How about a subscribe? We'd appreciate it. Why not? Plenty of
200 by the end of the year?
That's the spirit, guys.
15 days, that'd be crazy.
Can we hit that? Can we hit that subscribe button on youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only? Thank you.
Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, but we've got plenty of fun stuff coming up in the new year, so, look forward to it. There's so many games coming next year, and they'll all be delayed, but you know what? We can dream right now. It's still 2022. We can dream of a good 2023, right? That's what we can do. So it's going to be
a lot of games coming out in the first 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stuff scheduled.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So, I thought we'd start off this week, because a lot of new listeners, as well as ourselves, right, into a lot of JRPGs. So obviously, the Final Fantasy VII remake, reunion, remaster, Crisis Core, Zack's back, whatever you want to call it, It's out. It's here. It's one of those weird games where we found out about it like not that long ago, and it's just here, and it exists. It's kind of crazy. So, Hunter, how much have you played of it?
I've played probably like 8 to 10 hours of it, I think. Up to like chapter 5. The start of it, I believe, was where I ended off the other day.
And how long is this game? Just out of I know nothing about Crisis Core.
If I sussed out
game before,
if I sussed out the trophies right, because I just kind of like looked at the progression trophy, like the one I got for the end of chapter 1, and then counted them down, even though they were all hidden. I basically just assumed that those were the chapter trophies that were in the sequential order, and I think there are 10 chapters if I did that correctly. So I guess I'm like halfway through it, unless one of these are like obscenely long or short compared to the other ones.
Yeah, fair enough. And did you play the original Crisis Core? I feel like we should get that out of the way.
I did not. This game was not something I was ever familiar with beyond knowing what the ending is, and also the one cool fight scene in the middle of the game.
Yeah, I feel like it's a weird one, right? Because like, again, I feel like if you ever even like glanced at the Final Fantasy VII universe, you know the ending. Well, you at least know details of the ending to this game straight off the bat, right? I know details to the ending of this game off the bat because I played Remake, and it's like,
or at
I
least
know
you think you do.
Yeah, well, no, we'll get into that. But
I
know
told
for a
him
fact,
the discrepancies.
Yeah. You told me the discrepancies. YouTube told me the discrepancies when I went to watch spoiler casts, and so people told me why everyone's freaking the hell out about the ending. Because, that's what I had to do. And then, talking about it from an interesting point of view is this, Kyle, like you're saying, it's a very faithful remaster, this is, stroke remake, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't change anything. So nothing's been changed in this. It is a straight, better or worse, full-on remaster, quote-unquote. I don't know what to call it. I feel like this is another case of game industry. Can we decide what is defined as a remake and what is defined as a remaster? Because as far as I can tell, this is... It is, but it's one of those things where it's still the PSP game underneath, though. It's still the PSP
problem
game.
is that before it was pretty simple, because it was like, okay, you have remasters, which are like porting the PS2 games into the HD collections for the PS3.
Yeah,
is what I would call that.
Yeah,
and then you have like remakes, which are like the full-on asset overhauls, like the Crash trilogy or Shadow of the Colossus, Spyro, all of that. That was relatively cut and dry. And then Resident Evil 2 ruined it by being so good because that was a remake that changed the actual like nature of how the game played.
And I feel like the problem is before we were like, remakes are like the same game on a different engine, like they've just been built from the ground up, right? And now it's like, now we have remasters where they're not just an upscale, like a Blu-ray release that we kind of think about the originals. Like, for example, this Crisis Core has a new coat of paint on it, exactly like new art style, tried to make it look exactly like the remake and the way that the best way they could for a PSP game. They've done a great job. But it still is, at the heart of it, it's the same fucking game underneath. It just has a new coat of paint on it. So what do we call this? Like, this is like, I hate this. In my head, it's like... I'll ask you this, Hunter. How much does it feel like a PSP game, as I guess the first question? And two, does this feel like a remake or just like a kind of a nice coat of paint? Game. Yeah. A nice coat of paint over a PSP game. How does it feel to you?
So... the way it's paced, you can definitely tell that it's a PSP game as far as that's concerned, because it's like very mission based, as far as like you're just kind of doing things in smaller chunks, and then you've got a whole bunch of extra things that you can go and do also in smaller chunks. As far as that goes, it does have a nicer coat of paint, like the you can see that it's not quite on the level of the Final Fantasy VII Remake from 2020.
What?
Like the faces of characters are still weird sometimes, like the mouth animations and all that, but the clothes look really good. The rendering on Sephiroth's jacket was immaculate.
Dude, how did the doors look?
I was not I was not super zoomed in on the doors while I was playing.
What is your journalistic integrity there, Hunter? I mean, come on, you had one
Literally
job.
everybody except you and me noticed the doors in FF7 Remake.
You see, the
Yeah,
only reason
I
I
know.
didn't notice is because the game because the game made me stand there watching as the door didn't pop in and wouldn't let me go in until the door fully loaded. So I had to sit there like for 30 seconds, like just sitting at a door waiting for the fucking texture to load. So that's the only reason I noticed, Kyle. I don't
Oh.
usually go and
See,
pixel peep.
when people complained about the skyboxes in the other game, I'm like, okay, fair enough. Looking up a little too high, and I can't see why you would say that looks bad.
They did fix a lot of the
Yeah.
skyboxes in the PS5 version. Do want to throw them a
Yeah.
bone there. They did kind of throw the jankiness to the side a little bit. There were still some janky things in Remake Integrate still, but you know. You don't have to expect that though from this, because that's not what it is, right? They haven't remade this from the ground up. It's not a
the writing is
same
still
way.
exactly the same too. Everything's voiced over now. So what I imagine, because I imagine that they did not voice over every line in the PSP game. You were doing a lot of like RPG text box reading with that, and just probably imagining what certain characters sounded like. But the writing is still exactly the same. All the people who were in the remake who had voices, voice actors are the same. So that's nice and consistent.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling on the game itself with playing, roughly what you believe is a half, and then there's probably people in the comments that are giggling to themselves going, haha, that's what you think.
Yeah. I've been enjoying it so far. Like, it took about 5 minutes for me to realize why everyone likes Zach so much. Man is an absolute doofus in all of the best ways. Like, one of the first chapter, you're like raiding a Wutai fort or something, and one of the fun things that happens there is like there's one of those trick walls where it does the Scooby-Doo spinning thing, and you find that while this sergeant of some Wutai guys is giving a speech to his other two cronies there, and Zach just pops through that door and beats them up as he's giving the speech. It was really funny.
Nice.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so he's a really likable protagonist. He's probably the best kind of, because Square Enix seems to like that character trope quite a bit. Like they tried it
himbo.
They try like specifically with like main characters. They've tried it with like Titus. They tried it with Sora, and those both are not good.
What are you on about? How dare you?
Great.
How dare you?
But Zach is fantastic. The other three like central characters here are Angeal, Genesis, and Sephiroth. Yeah, Sephiroth.
I know one of them. They're in Smash.
Yeah, Sephiroth. It's cool to see. It's cool to see this, different side of him before he lost his mind. Understanding that he was actually like just a pretty decent dude at one point in his life. Yeah, kind of recontextualizes some of the events that happened in 7, just in a way of, oh, you weren't a complete monster all the time. That's cool. Makes some things kind of sad. The other two are, new to what Crisis Core, or new for Crisis Core at the time of its original existence. They are both like Sephiroth's closest friends, both high-ranking people in the soldier program. They're both other first-class guys. Angeal was the guy who had the Buster Sword first, apparently.
Just that thing's just a hand me down, bro. It's like an older sibling's clothes. You're just like, oh right, here you go, and you can only get rid of it when they're tall enough to pass it on to the next person. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
But yeah, and like other characters from the original game show up here and there. It's been interesting to see that. It'll just be like, oh, this is what you were like 7 years previously, according to my search. The beginning of Crisis Core happens 7 years before the original game.
Fair enough.
I have to imagine there's a time skip somewhere.
Nah. Zach's really old. That's just the thing. He's just like, in JRPG terms, he's just a boomer. Like, that's it.
I suppose so. I haven't actually talked about the way that aside from the mission pacing, the way the game actually plays. You can kind of see the bones of what the Final Fantasy VII Remake would become in a lot of ways, because it's got that more action RPG play style to it. Like square is just your general attack button, and the thing that they got, the way that the materia works in this game is you push L1 and then like every button on your controller becomes a materia command. Like they made maximum use of the PSP's button real estate with this control scheme.
It's kind of like this Kingdom Hearts
like,
shortcut menu in a way.
Yeah, because like every face button does it, and then like R1 and R2 will also have, you can put materia on there. And it's nice because like it feels better than, I didn't use the shortcuts in the 7 Remake that much because I don't know, I just didn't like the way it flowed, as opposed to using it when the ATB meter happened. I think it flows pretty nicely in this game. Like Zach's little 4-hit combo, you can end it off with his he has like a physical command where you can do like a little spinny move that it's a nice little combo ender if you want to do that instead. They split, the material has like a split thing where you have like 2 meters. You got the magic meter and then the AP meter. So like the yellow ones do the physical stuff. So that's cool because you can get like physical attacks that still do like the elemental properties. So I imagine later in the game I'll be able to mix and match that in ways that are fun. They've got the way that the like limit break thing is weird, the way that works in here, because they've got like constantly when you're in a battle, there's just this slot roulette going on off in the left corner.
You got a casino in the top left, right?
And like and like you don't have to pay any mind to it as it's happening, because I feel like if you're sitting there worried about what it's going to land on, you're probably just not playing the game correctly, because you're just going to get because you'll be too preoccupied with that. Basically, depending on like what, I haven't even really been paying attention to the number combinations. They gave me a little hint with a list of what it does, but I'm like, what happens will happen. But essentially it gives you like buffs according to like just what they land on. Like some will be like physical defense up, no magic, or magic doesn't cost any MP for a short amount of time. And then if you land on like these character specific portraits, you get like, that's how you activate the limit breaks and or summons when you unlock those. So that's neat. Different points in the story make certain things on that slot machine more likely to happen. Like right after I met Eris, she kept popping up on the slot machine a lot. So I'm like, oh, cool. Free heal. A whole bunch.
It is interesting. It's an interesting system, because looking at it from someone that hasn't played it, it does just kind of look like, it looks like a messy game. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure it's not in practice, I'm sure it's not as messy as it looks. But when you've got a fucking pachinko slot machine in the top left, you've got the button combination spam in the bottom right, you've got the menu for like all of your potions and stuff is also above that, and then you have the combat on top of that. It just kind of looks like an extremely messy experience. I'm sure once you're in the game, you don't really have to pay any mind to it.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of crazy to me
last
how
year,
it looks.
when my brother was watching me play Tales of Arise, he was like, what is this cacophony of stuff that is happening all the time? People are screaming out moves every second of your battles here. I'm like, it's just
is what it is, man.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
So
do you have anything else that you want to add that you haven't said so far?
So like, for better or worse, like, so it is the same thing as before, and in ways I'm pleased that I can experience this the way it originally was, but also I could have, like, the way it's going, because I've enjoyed it so much, I hope they give this the full shebang at some point. Like, just maybe don't recreate the story the same way you're doing with the Final Fantasy VII, but change the writing to be less 2007 melodramatic.
Gaga.
With yeah, I haven't got to that line yet, but I've been seeing people post about that. I'm like, huh, that's funny.
It's one of the 2 things I know about that game.
That's apparently where he's from.
Yeah. Him? Gone Gaga.
But yeah, so it'd be cool to see them like, give it the full remake treatment at some point, because like I'd love to, re-experience this kind of thing sometime in the future, when I'm in my 30s and the Final Fantasy VII Remake is finished.
God, I really hope it doesn't take that long. They've already promised 3 that I'm like, come on, please. I'm like, I'm gonna be counting down those days of 29, going, come on, please, finish
Come
before I turn
on.
30. Come on, I'm begging you. But no, I guess my final question to you is, obviously, what was this game priced at? I don't even know was it priced at 60? Is it 60?
50.
50?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it worth $50? And is it worth getting in if you haven't played it before?
I'd say so. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed what I've been playing so far. And like, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about even the original version of Final Fantasy VII. Like, that's kind of in the misty young memories of my life. I don't have like the full thing locked down into my adult brain here. So even then, I'm still enjoying what's going on. Probably mostly because a lot of the characters in this game are centered around like that beginning part that I could never escape. Every time I try playing the game, I just get that far and stop. So yeah, so even then, like, I've still enjoyed this for what it is, and it'll be interesting to because the way it is, they have to have put this out for a reason, right?
Oh, I know what the reason is. Zack's going to be more
like,
prominent in Remake going forward, so they just want people to know who
yeah,
Zack
they want people to know his story, so it'll be cool to see him like crop up later in the continuing saga as that is concerned.
I also think it's just Square's inevitable goal is to have every Final Fantasy, like mainline single player Final Fantasy, available on current consoles. Because I believe, there was the leak this week that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters 1 through 6 are coming to PS4 and Switch at some point. ESRB have taken that off now, but it's true because ESRB doesn't go and rate fake video games, so it's coming. So it's like those are coming. And when you think about it, that leaves like what, just the 13 trilogy left that isn't playable?
Pretty much, yeah. If you're discounting 11, which was an
I'm not counting 11, and obviously 14 is playable, but
I think you could still play 11 if you wanted to.
You still can
on PS4. You can play it on Steam. You definitely can on Steam. But I'm talking like on main consoles.
You couldn't play it on PlayStations at all before, so could you?
In terms of Steam has everything as we speak right now, right? But it's like maybe not 13. But did 13 get a PC port?
Xbox has the 13 trilogy.
Yeah, I know it has.
Xbox has that, and so it's on.
So
it's on 360 backwards compatible. I know that much. But it's like, I feel like that's Square's point. I 100% see within the next 5 years there at least being a remaster in the same way they did 10 and 10-2 of the 13 trilogy all in one package, 4K upscaled, whatever you want to call it. They're going to do it because I feel like that's Square's goal, is to have literally every version of everything available, at least mainline. It's like what they did with Kingdom Hearts. You can now play the entirety of Kingdom Hearts on a PlayStation 4. If you want to, so far. And then PS5, your stuff carries over. Same with Xbox, right? It's like, I feel like that's Square's goal, is they want that
entirety of the Final Fantasy series actually available in the same place. That's never been a thing before.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I honestly probably wouldn't have dared dream of such a thing like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But hey,
I've never even thought about it, that like 13 trilogy is pretty much all we're missing at this point.
And they're going to do it because even though 13 is a polarizing entry, people love Lightning, and there's enough fans of 13 that they'll definitely justify a port of it.
I would try 13 if it was available.
To be honest, same, because I just feel like it's one of those weird games. It's in that weird era of gaming where everything was trying to kind of homogenize and kind of all become samey. Even with JRPGs, everyone was going into that same kind of direction. So I feel like it's always an interesting one that I always missed. And people that do like 13 really like 13 and really like
the people
Lightning.
who like it really liked it. Like that's why it got 3 games for a reason. And
it was really popular in Japan. People love 13 in Japan. So
maybe when they remaster that one, they'll bring on the 99.99 cheat codes from the pause menu.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice. I would play those that way.
But yeah, so it's kind of crazy. So I feel like it's nice that some of these spin-offs are kind of getting, some love. And I'm sure further ones will carry over. I know because obviously Tactics Ogre was recently
coming. I feel it.
I was thinking more of Final Fantasy Tactics, Kyle, than Dirge of Cerberus.
I mean, Tactics would be cool too.
I can't remember if it was a leak or if it's a rumor. I feel like that's been leaked. I feel like that's been leaked in the same way that they did Tactics Ogre, but don't quote me on that. Yeah. I'm talking out of my arse here. I feel like I read this somewhere. Who knows where?
The upsetting thing about this hypothetical Dirge of Cerberus thing is that they'd probably give that like a similar treatment to this, where they wouldn't change anything about it. But
you see,
I feel like the reason
they won't
to do something else.
I feel like the reason they won't is because technically in the remake timeline, and I know we're going real nerdy on this, but Crisis Core can remain intact and it not affect anything because it's before.
Oh yeah, Dirge of Cerberus happens.
Dirge of Cerberus happens. Dirge of Cerberus with the DLC with like all the Tifa stuff. They basically said, yeah, Dirge of Cerberus isn't happening. They basically been like, yeah, that's not really happening. We're going in a different direction. So I don't know if they would. I feel like they did this one because people want that. Like people want people to know about Zack.
It's not like people won't get Vincent in the next couple of games anyway. So
if anything, I think they do like what they did with Yuffie and Integrade, and just give Vincent like his own little side adventure.
They might do that with what I always forget what Rebirth. They might have that that might be the DLC little things. I assume they'll probably do a little DLC interlude for most of them, probably. Like at least like one per game, like because they did it with Kingdom Hearts 3. They love doing that shit. That's like Square's classic little thing they love to do. There'll be a little side expansion for 16. They'll do the whole works.
Kate Sith is gonna get the rhythm game.
Even Final Fantasy Origin got DLC, dude. Everything's gonna get fucking DLC, isn't it? So I guess my final question before we wrap up this Final Fantasy talk, Hunter,
Hold on really quick. I found that Final Fantasy Tactics remaster thing. It was part of the Nvidia leak. From 2021.
So it's definitely happening then, because that was
with Chrono Cross.
Kingdom Hearts 4 was on that leak.
FF7 remake, FF16.
All of the other things that have come true.
And ActRaiser, which released a couple weeks after the leak came out. So, yeah.
I mean, that thing, it had Kingdom Hearts 4 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And no one is expecting Nomura to actually go and do it for that quickly, to be honest, because everyone was expecting him to piss about with 16 spin-offs before he went and did it. So, fair play to the NVIDIA leak. But no, Hunter, my final question to you is, should I play it eventually? Does it spoil anything for base Final Fantasy VII that I shouldn't know before carrying on Nomura's Wild Ride? You'll have to let me know, I guess, on that one.
Yeah. When I get to the end, I'll probably be able to tell you.
But so far, should I play it?
But, well, you also don't like games that are like old, so
shut the fuck up.
No, he's got a point.
I don't. If I can enjoy an old game, it's just I don't go out of my way to particularly play them. I can enjoy old games.
Yeah, but so far I'd say you would probably like it.
Especially if I have a reason to. It's like I went back and played Persona 4 and 3 because I felt like I had a reason to. And when there's a good way to play one and both of the twos, I'll go and play those. Balls in your court, Atlas, for that one.
But yeah, you would probably still manage to enjoy it. Like the writing might be stupid, but you also really liked Xenoblade too, so
I love stupid dialogue.
You know?
I love stupid dialogue. I love you and all you guys. You know? What can I say? What else can I say?
Yeah, you'd have a ball with this game.
Genuinely. I just love terrible dialogue. You know, I just love it. My friend's been playing through Danganronpa recently, and he got to the end of the 4th trial, and the urge to not just do the whole Mukuro like whatever that fucking dialogue.
Oh yeah,
shit,
Mukuro Ikosaba.
Beware of the 16th student. Yeah, Mukuro Ikosaba. Beware of the 16th student. Just like that.
The problem is that thing is like burnt. That little dialogue or monologue, you could say, is like burned into my memory, but I can't recite it. It stuns my brain too much.
Yeah.
I heard it like 700
I just heard,
times.
yeah. I just heard he said, I finished chapter 4, and all I did was I sent New World Order to him and just went, best song in the series, and that's all you need to know. It's just like, when this song plays, shit's gone down. That's all you need to know.
It's very true. It is the best song in the series.
Dude. It was one of those things where listening to him play it, I'm like, you know what? I think I do unironically like Danganronpa at times, because stuff like that, I'm like, oh, it does have its good moments. It's also terrible in so many ways, but it has good moments.
But yeah, like
you got
the ending of the ending of the first chapter of the 3rd game is always one of those ones where I'm like, oh, you genuinely got me pretty good there,
dude. I without saying, I love V3. It's my favorite by far. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. I love it, and I love how polarizing it is as well. And I'm like, if anyone was gonna hate that game, I feel like it should have been me. But I ended up being one of the people that loved it, so I'm like, I'm living for it. I'm happy that I'm on the positive side of the fence for once.
It's funny. I hated it when I played it, but I think that was more of just because of its typical Danganronpa delivery of the ending rather than the actual content of the ending.
You have to think about it yourself more instead of listening to the anime bullshit, if that makes sense. It's like one of those things.
It was like an assault on your senses. It wasn't leaving me time to think about it for myself. That's why it took 2 years for me to come around on it.
And trust me, there's still terrible parts about that ending. Which I'm
there are terrible parts about every ending of that series because they all go on for 7 years.
Yeah, that's why I like my memories of Danganronpa are better than the games, because I've just got the condensed version without all the excessive bullshit that I don't remember because it was so arbitrary. You know, there's a good 10 hours in my brain.
Yeah, all the dumb hangman gambits.
Anyway, that's enough talking about positive things. It's time for me to talk about High on Life. Yeah, it's time for me to talk about High on Life. This is the new game by Squanch Games, Justin Roiland. It's available on Xbox now. I am so glad I bought an Xbox, guys. I'm so glad.
Really?
It's on Game Pass. That's the pro.
Otherwise he would have had to buy this game to get impressions on it.
I wouldn't have bought it, you silly
goose. We wouldn't have given impressions on it.
No impressions. I would have just sat here and carried on playing Gravity Rush on my Vita. That's what I would have done. All I'm saying is I'm glad the Vita flopped, because a handheld with trophies is already an addiction that I do not like. I don't like it. Anyway. So yeah, I've put about 4 hours into High on Life, so I gave it the good old college try. I don't know what to say about it, because here's the thing, right? Justin Roiland's comedy is very much hit and miss. And what I mean by that is, it can either be incredibly funny, people love Justin Roiland, and to an extent, I like Justin Roiland. I think the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty are fab. I love them. They're great. However, I dropped off on season 3, like most people I think did who were original fans of Rick and Morty. They just dropped off because we had enough of it and we moved on. And it's one of those things where if you love Justin Roiland's humor, you're going to love the script in this, you're going to love the performances of this, and it's probably going to get through what is pretty much a bog standard, kind of below average first-person shooter, in my opinion. To me, this game, I really struggled to get through these 4 hours. And what I mean by this is the script is incredibly, it's incredibly Roilandy. And what I mean by that is the first gun you get is literally Morty in a gun, and you're stuck with him for a good 2 hours. So if the idea of just hearing Justin Roiland talk to you and monologue to you for the first 2 hours of the game doesn't sound great, this game isn't for you straight away. It just isn't. Just don't even think about it. Not worth your time. It's so ear grating, and it's a fun concept, right? What if the guns could talk back at you, and you have like 4 guns, and they all banter off of each other, and it's like this kind of dynamic. The actual core of the game is an interesting one. It's a first-person shooter meets Mega Man, essentially, where the idea is there's this alien kind of mafia group called the G3 who use humans as drugs, basically. They basically inject humans into themselves and get high off them. That's why it's high on life. So they're basically farming humans for drugs, is the idea, and you as a random guy, this random person who is just sits and plays games all day, becomes a bounty hunter to take on the G3. And it has this kind of interesting format where it is kind of very Mega Man-y, where you can pick between stages and there's weapons and upgrades behind each station. There's 4 guns. And as far as I can tell, the first 2 levels, you choose which level you want to do first. You get a specific gun from that level. That gun might then help you on a later boss more that you wouldn't have had if you had picked a different route. There's some interesting stuff there. I just think the problem is Mega Man is a really refined 2D kind of platformer action game where each of the stages are really no longer than 3 to 5 minutes, whereas this game, every level's an hour, and it's just a generic first-person shooter where all the enemies are kind of the same and the guns are kind of the same. You've got like this pistol, which is basically just a pistol. The second weapon which you get is basically a shotgun, which it's like a frog shotgun. If it reminds me of anything, I don't know, Hunter. I don't know if you ever played a Crack in Time, but there was like a weapon in Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time where it was like this kind of frog where it had like it had its cheeks would like bloat up and in, and it would just shoot like it was like a shotgun. It's basically that. It's just a shotgun, but it's a frog. I was like, cool idea. I've seen it before, but it's a cool idea, and it's like. The way it goes about it is interesting. It has interesting boss fights. The boss fights are definitely the highlight of this game. They're pretty fun. The only problem is the levels are so generic and boring, and the fights are so boring that it's not a good sign that within the first 3 hours, if a fight wasn't compulsory, I was trying to I was just running through the fight and carrying on the path because I was not interested in fighting whatsoever. And I feel like the problem with this game is the levels aren't too great. And the dialogue was so fucking, like, they just berate you with dialogue. There's a toggle in the game to turn it down. That's how fucking, they knew that it was jarring. And it still felt like too much. It was just...
Oh, no.
To me, there were a couple of jokes where I'm like, okay, that was quite funny. But a lot of it is just kind of Rick and Morty, just kind of, just very in-your-face kind of humor. Like... where there's, for example, there's a building site in a desert where there are like these foremans, and these foremans are basically getting up in your face, and they're like, this is our building site, you can't come in here, and then you walk in there and they start calling you an arsehole, and they just kind of berate you. And I feel like the game at times is just trying to piss me off enough that I shoot the fuckers so that the game can go, wow, why are you so aggressive? Why did you shoot the fuckers? Like, I mean, come on, man, they didn't do anything wrong. What's wrong with you? And I didn't shoot the fuckers. I walked past them. And then the game goes, I would have let you shoot them. I would have shot them if I was you. Like, what are you doing? Come on, man. I'm like, oh my God, you can't win. Even if I try and avoid what I think they're going to do, they're going to annoy me in a different way.
It's like Undertale, but the moral compass just keeps spinning.
Yeah, basically. Or there's another joke where there's this really annoying kid there's a really annoying kid in the slums. And it's right at the start of the game, so I feel like most people will have seen this clip, where this kid's really annoying, and you try and shoot them, and the gun's like, did you just try and shoot a kid? You can't shoot a kid in a video game. When was the last time you were able to shoot a kid? And you just keep spamming it. Eventually you shoot the kid, and the game's like, what the fuck? You just killed a kid. And then there's a line later where you find out he's 35, and he's just aging really slowly in that alien years or whatever, so you didn't kill a kid anyway. God. But it's just like...
Yeah,
it was a funny joke, but the way it's delivered is just so kind of...
bad. It would have been funnier if they just let you shoot the kid.
Yeah. It's just like...
But
I feel like
that's already messed up enough. Come on.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost kind of... It's held back by the amount of effort they're putting into it. And what I mean by that is they were definitely thinking, okay, for every situation, what's a joke or a quip that we can do here? If they shoot the kid, what do they run around with that? Or, There's like, this annoying fucking character won't leave you alone for 5 minutes straight. What do we do if they try and kill him? And what do we do if we don't? And there's just so many jokes that are just, the game's just noise. It just feels like I'm trying to play a video game, but I have like 16 backseat gamers behind me that it's like having a Twitch chat in your head where, you know, it's just like, I would have killed that guy. What, you killed that guy? I shouldn't have done that. Like, why are you doing that? It's like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And my thing is I can tell that they're trying. And the thing is, from everything else, Justin Roiland seems like a nice dude. He seems like he really cares. And the people that like this stuff are gonna like it enough to play the game, especially if it's on Game Pass. But to me, the underlying game isn't interesting enough for me to sit there and be hit and miss with the humor. Where it's just like, I can't do this for 10 hours. I can't. I gave it 4. I probably got through a third of the game, and I just cannot do this anymore.
Earlier when you said like first person shooter with like Mega Man thing, like for the next like 2 minutes while you were talking, I was like, imagine if Doom did that.
Oh, it takes a lot of inspiration. Really cool. It takes a lot of inspiration from Doom as well. Like this game, in terms of combat, they definitely were like, what if we did Doom? Because, you know, it's very much popping headshots and melee attacks to increase your shields again and stuff like that. It very much takes inspiration from, you know, Doom. And I think it's just one of those things where it's like, I already knew I knew that the humor and all that would be polarizing, but there's not enough good stuff in the game for me to put that to the side to carry on playing it. You know, I've had games where the dialogue, like we've mentioned, the dialogue just doesn't work for me. Not even laughably funny, just getting fucking sick of it. But the gameplay was good enough, or the opposite way around, where, you know, the gameplay is shit, but the story's keeping me engaged. There's not that kind of back and forth here. There's nothing here keeping me to it. And I'm just like, I can tell that they tried. It's not like, I've seen some fucking reviews of this game that are very detrimental, like 1 out of 10 just because they don't find it funny, and I'm like, is this what we're doing here, guys? Is this what this is? Like 3 out of 10 game. I didn't laugh.
The game looks like it is at least functional.
It's fine, and it has some good moments. I think the boss fights are pretty interesting. I think, you know, there's a cast of characters here that isn't Justin Roiland, and Justin Roiland has some voices that when he's not doing the Morty annoying fucking voice, there are some funny lines that he delivers, and there's some good stuff there. There's also some great performances. Tom Kenny's in the game. He has a great little, like, bit of Nolan North's in the game. You know, he has a couple of great little lines in there. There's some good stuff here, but it's few and far between, and I just feel like it's a bit too messy. There's just a bit too much noise that I can't really concentrate, and I don't really enjoy it. And it's just like, it's fine. It's not for me. It's not a 1 out of 10 game. Like I think it's sitting at like a 68 or something on Metacritic. That's where I'd like.
I just checked it.
Nice. That's where I would.
42% of people recommend it.
That's where I'd kind of sit it. It is one of those games where if you have Game Pass, you have nothing to lose. Sure, download it, see what you think. If you like Justin Roiland,
see if you think it's funny, and then go from there.
Because it will be funny.
Or if you think it's fun, just hit the mute button on your TV.
Yeah, if you think it's fun, because there's some interesting stuff here, but it's like one of those things where it's like, if you want a kind of gameplay like that, go and play at Doom. If you want, you know, if you want that comedy, I'd watch Rick and Morty. At least the gun's not harassing you, berating you. It's it's just Rick berating a character, right? It's like, it's genuinely, it feels like I'm playing a Rick and Morty episode and I'm Jerry. Like, that's how this feels.
Oh, like, no, God.
That's how it feels. Is the game just, I am the game's Jerry, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about it.
A 10-hour Rick and Morty episode is like the stuff of nightmares, especially like what I observed of the past couple of seasons. They lose their steam after like 10 minutes.
Definitely, and it's like, you know, there's some interesting ideas here. It's just, like I say, too much noise. Too much white noise. It's just like, it's all a bit busy, and I don't know if this is me getting old, but I'm just like, you know, I preferred it when I could tell what the fuck's going on and there wasn't a joke every 2 seconds. Like, I don't even think, I feel like some, like, comedy, you know, TV shows or games have a lot of jokes, so if you end up missing one or you don't get one, then another one will pick you back up again. Whereas I feel like this one is just, let's say the same joke 16 times so that you hear it at least once. And I'm like, no, let's not do that, please. So no, if you have an Xbox or a PC, try it out. It's free. It's free if you have Game Pass. Give it a download. See what you think. I don't know how much High on Life actually costs on Xbox. I should probably do that research, shouldn't I? Let's have a look. Search. I love Microsoft website. It's definitely
$60.
not garbage. Is it actually?
Yeah.
For the love of God, don't pay $60. Don't do that. Don't pay $60. That is ridiculous. I'm trying to see how much it is. £50. Yeah, do not do that. For the love of God, get a Game Pass monthly subscription and play it that way. Like, don't pay $60 for it.
Then you could play something else if you don't like it.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you're just a Runner fan, you're gonna like it. And I can see that the heart's in it. The heart's in it. It's not like bad game. It's just
yeah. Listening to him talk about the game earlier this week made me less spiritually opposed to it than I was.
No, and I like
2 weeks ago.
And the stuff that Justin Roiland has done that I like. Like I say, I love the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty, and there's stuff where he's done voices where I like him. It's just too noisy for me. That's my review. It's too noisy for me, and that's okay. But also, a Doom Mega Man kind of game is a good idea. So fair play for the concept. Just maybe make it a tiny bit more fast paced, a bit more interesting. It's just fine. It's just fine. You've played a million games like it already, just not as loud.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. That's all I have to say on High on Life. Unfortunately, it's no Crisis Core, so I didn't have that much to say about it. Anyway, Hunter.
Yep.
Finally, in this trilogy of new video game releases, what have you been playing? River City Girls 2 finally released. It finally showed its face. We thought it might not come out.
I thought it was going to be like January. I thought it was going to be a January game because we hit December. Like up until last week, we didn't know when it was supposed to come out. So I was like,
Sports Story's playing the same game. I still don't think that's making it.
Oh, dude!
I feel like it should have been this week. I feel like it should have been this week.
Hunter's celebrating.
Yeah.
Maybe not, because the reviews might not get in on time.
Maybe. I don't know. The annoying thing about the whole
outlets have finished now. That's my. Yeah.
The annoying thing about this situation is now the point difference between you and I and the fantasy critic thing is like if Callisto Protocol could have just stayed at the 76 it was at when it released, I would have won.
Dude, it's down below a 70 now.
What? Oh,
69.3.
These people need to calm down.
Because Fantasy Critic does decimals now.
It wasn't that bad. It was better than Ghostwire Tokyo. Anyway, River City Girls 2 is a good game. It is a really good game. I like it a lot. I really liked the first one. I gushed about that like 2 months ago. Or maybe 3 at this point. But this one follows on pretty much right after as far as the setup is concerned. The Yakuza daughter lady that you beat up at the end of the game. At the end of the first game, her father was displeased, so he punches his way out of jail, and then his Yakuza gang takes over the city. He literally punched a hole in his cell and walked out in this opening cutscene.
It's really sad that when you say Yakuza, I instantly go to the video game, and I'm like, you know what, it'd check out there too, so I'm like, fair play, you know what I mean? Like, good, like, fair play. Makes sense.
That.
Oh, Kiryu would 100% do that. Majima would. Majima definitely would. But, you know. So, yeah. River City Girls. It's you know what it is, right? I feel like
it's a 2D beat 'em up. It's a 2D beat 'em up following on like the River City Ransom. I don't know what that series was called beforehand, but the River City
beat 'em up called River City Ransom.
There were a bunch of other games before that and after too, though. Like there's a whole lot of stuff in this game's legacy here, and this is following on from River City Girls 2, or the first game back in like 2019 was, I feel like, the modern revival, I believe, as far as that's concerned. And this is following on from that 2D beat 'em up. It encourages you to play with a friend. All that kind of thing. I've been playing by myself, so I can't speak to how the 2-player goes, but I imagine it's fun. you got 6 playable characters in this game instead of the last game had you had the 2 girls to start with, and then their boyfriends were unlocked at the end. All 4 of them are available from the start in this one. It's weird in a way because like everyone will speak the dialogue if you play as like Kunio or Ricky, but also it's clearly still only written with Kyoko and Misako in mind. So that's funny because I just unlocked number 5, Marion, who is from the Double Dragon series. I believe I unlocked her. She looks really cool. Her fighting style's been pretty neat so far, and she's been speaking as if she was still one of the other 2. So it's funny that way. Gameplay wise, it still plays pretty much the same. They've added a couple of nice adjustments as far as the way they have like a launching attack now. Like there were aerial moves in the first game, but you didn't really have a, fancy way to get yourself in the air with the other guys. You just kind of had to hit them in the air and jump and hope you would connect at the same time. Now you've got a launching attack and you can do aerial combos, and that changes everything. As far as the level design goes, it's a much bigger game just in the way that even the old areas, like you run across some of the same places from the first game, but even then, like it's a bigger chunk of the section that you saw. And as far as in the fighting people part of that design, there's a bunch more environmental hazards. Like there were a couple of zones where I was like pushing people into the streets and they were getting hit by cars, and it was great. Dude, River City is like the most aggro place in the world. Like everybody wants to fight you for no reason.
Why not?
It's hilarious. Down to the school kids, man.
Oh my god.
Well, like high school kids, you know, like I have not been accosted by a toddler yet, but they better watch out because I will uppercut them into whatever ravine is nearby.
Look, dude, if the Yakuza's punching themselves out of jail, I think the city's gonna be aggro.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's all cool. The music is still great. Like the first Megan McDuffie is the composer, and she did a really good job. Got really cool electronic stuff for a bunch of situations. You got these cool, like brooding, synthy, goth sounding vocal tracks when those crop up. Yeah. This is really solid. Does a distractingly good voice cast too. Like, straight up, some of these people are like, "What are you doing in this game? It seems beyond your scope." Like, Kunio and Ricky, for example, one of them's voiced by Greg Chun, and that's funny because like he's just doing the extra lines for someone who doesn't seem to have lines actually written for that character. And he had like 2 lines in the last game. Patrick Zeitz has been one of the other ones that's just been an extra. It's funny is all.
I think that Ricky's voiced by Kaiji Tang as well.
Oh yeah. You see, I couldn't remember who had what voice.
Yeah.
Because they've been non-entities. It's funny because when I played the first one, I still had things about it, but I was like, in a sequel, this would be pretty solid if they added this. And they haven't. Some of these things have not been added, and I don't really care that much. But like, for example, you still have to double tap to run like whatever direction, and I feel like you could make that a button. Yeah, it would work better with a button, I believe, or like switching
auto run option.
Yeah, or like switching characters. Every time you switch characters, like there's a mild level up system where every so often you'll hit like level 10 and you'll get a new piece of your combo or a new move to do, and you'll punch people a little bit harder. And when you switch to another character, depending on how long you've been playing as the one that they'll be like several levels behind. It's very like it's very incremental residual XP for them, and I feel like if it just locked you to the same spot and you could just go buy their moves that you can unlock, like when you switch to them, it would work better that way. Or if you could like switch on the fly or something, that would be cool. But yeah, that stuff isn't in here, but it's not hurting my feelings too much because I'm still having a really good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, River City Girls it looked like a super fun game, and I've been meaning to go and play the first one, but that ship has sailed.
Man, when you buy it, tell me. I'll play it with you.
Where do you own it?
I own it on the PS5.
Okay.
So
does it have crossplay with PS4?
It better.
I mean, Kyle,
I mean, do I need to play the first one?
You need to get UFL.
Or can I just jump into the second? How important is the story, Hunter?
It's just there to contextualize your adventure. It's like a cool. Devil May Cry scenario.
It's like any 80s beat 'em up, Kyle. What the hell are you on about? It's just like Shredder stole the pizza, get after him, Ninja Turtles. Like,
no. I mean, they've got cutscenes.
I was mostly being facetious, Ethan.
No,
but it's like basically the characters are endearing, and it's fun to see them in situations. So you might as well play the first one. It's also a really good game. There's no reason you need to play this one immediately.
Alrighty.
No, fair enough.
I'll add it to the list right behind Neon White.
No,
also not available on PlayStation.
Of games I need to get to at some point.
But why are you not going to get to them in this lifetime, Kyle?
Because I started playing the critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. And let me tell you, Square Enix is a bunch of dicks for making that game free to play up to level 60. Level 60's a lot. It's so much, dude.
It's like a drug dealer giving the first hit for free just because they know that's it. Once you get that fucking shot, that's it, bro. You're done. Like, you get goodbye free time, goodbye life.
Once you're past the tutorials, it's like
goodbye future family and children. They're never happening. Like, I've got Final Fantasy now.
Exactly.
The only marriage I'm having is one of these ones in the game.
Oh god.
Exactly. Hunter gets it.
There you go. So how are you finding it?
Dude, this game's super chill. I love it.
Oh god.
Like,
I'm so sorry.
This is a problem. And I know it's a problem. And I keep going back. I'm not doing anything to solve the problem.
That's the spirit.
This is hilarious because I've dabbled with Final Fantasy XIV here and there. Like I've tried to get into it a couple of times, and I guess just stopped when something I want to play comes out, which I guess I can see how that's less of a problem for you.
Yeah.
No, yeah, nothing's coming out.
Yeah.
Well, see, even when I had games, like, even when I didn't have an income or whatever, so I couldn't just go and buy stupidly overpriced video games whenever I see fit. I was never into MMOs, I was never hugely into them. Like, I played RuneScape as a kid, but it was mainly because friends played it, and I didn't really do any of the MMO-y kind of things. I just chopped trees and did a couple of quests, and that was about it. It's like they never really have hit for me, and it's because of the massive, like, people see the grind as like the potential, right? Like, look at all this game in front of me, and I sit at it and I'm like, hell no, like, what the fuck is this? No chance. No, I don't have time. I have a life.
I've never played an MMO because I assume the multiplayer part is like a hard requirement. Like, if you don't have anyone to play with, there's no point in you playing this.
Nah, man. I played WoW. It was mostly just a really big single-player RPG for me.
That's how I'm playing 14, dude. I'm just big chilling, having a good time. Just vibing, leveling up my classes. I just unlocked the rogue class. I'm stabbing people with knives. Shit's great.
Yeah.
I'm having a grand old time.
I unlocked the rogue class and leveled it up a few times. I think that was around where I dipped out the last time.
Damn, Hunter, we're in the same spot.
Yeah,
Hunter, re-download the game.
Nice try.
Don't you fucking dare. If you
If
stop playing new games, this podcast goes down.
That's a good point. I don't have time to play new game, or I don't have time to play Final Fantasy XIV. Unfortunately, I've had other friends try to get me to start as well, I've tried to start it like with my siblings, and we fall off. It's just how it goes. But
At least you try and start. When people recommend me games, they like instantly go to the bottom of the pile because as soon as someone's like, "Yo, I really want you to play this game," I'm like, "Well, I really don't want to play it because I know the bird over the shoulder. Where are you at? How you doing? What's your point? What's your thought on this character? You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that quest? How are you feeling about that?" That's why I'll never play The Witcher 3 because I'm like, I know what you like. But like,
I
I know
take
what you like.
solace in knowing that when I tell friends to play games, that I do not do that.
Yeah, same. Or if my whole stance on that is if someone wants to talk to me about it, then I'm happy to engage in that. But I won't go to you. Like I won't go and bother you while you're playing. If someone wants to message me, "Hey, I'm in case 3 and I want to talk about what the fuck happened," I'm like, "Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?" I'll have that conversation, but I won't be like, "Hey, have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14 level up to 63, including Heaven's Sword or whatever the fuck it is?" Like. Not about that life. But anyway.
That's the other thing.
Go on.
There's a Gunblade class in this game, and I want to get to that at some point. Because FF8 fanboy,
yes.
he needs his gun swords. But no, this game, it's fun. It's literally just checklists, the video game, like clearing out a to-do list.
Welcome to MMORPGs, may I take your order?
But it's just super chill. Like the way I've been approaching it is I've just been turning the game on for like 2-3 hours and just letting an episode of Critical Role podcast play in the background so I can get caught up on that too. Like
that's the way to be.
It's the way to be. It's a good time.
Are you gonna pay for it when you reach level 60?
Dude, I don't know, probably.
Is it like an annual subscription? Is that how that game works? You have to like pay in
I don't remember.
On top of the expansions? I don't know how it works.
I don't remember.
That's the thing with that's also why I've never got into MMORPGs.
Yeah.
Is because it's like you have to buy the expansions and pay an annual fee. I'm like, why don't I just pay? Doesn't buying the expansion count as my fucking fee? I just paid for it. You tell me I have to pay to play my paid thing? What the
I bought it. I own it. It's right here.
It's in a box.
Here's the box.
That's like, it's like I didn't like when Destiny was like every year, look, you have to pay $30 again, or else you're basically locked out of the game forever. Bye bye. I don't like that, but at least I knew that it was just paying $30 or $10 when it goes on sale 6 months later. And then that's it. I can carry on playing again. Like with WoW, it's always like there's a new expansion every 2 years, but then you've got your annual fee separate on top of that, and then that's not including other things as well. And I'm like, oh, please make it stop. Like, why? Just tell me how much it is. Like,
tell me.
If you pay the $100 a year subscription, you get the expansions when they come out. Perfect. Thank you. That's great. I understand this payment model now. Thank you. What do you mean I don't get Mists of Pandoria? I want the pandas. What the fuck?
I like that you chose that one.
Yeah, you know for a fact that the only time I was ever slightly remotely interested in WoW was when they added the pandas, and I was like, that's stupid. Let me have a look into what this World of Warcraft is. It was like back in like 2012 or something like that. So I was like,
I believe they added the monk, the same expansion, so you literally could do like the Kung Fu Panda thing, like right as that one came out.
Hell yeah, that's what. Can I just also say, it was 2012. That's how you know that I actually was looking into it. If I can remember the year of a WoW expansion, ladies and gentlemen, you know how it is.
Wow, I thought Cataclysm. I guess Cataclysm was 2010.
Oh, I wouldn't know. Does it have pandas in it?
There weren't pandas there.
No, Cataclysm had a big dragon that ruined the world and changed the geography.
Aw.
Oh, like Fortnite? Cool.
Yeah.
I love
the original FF14.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you see this as an actual commitment, Cal? Do you see this as a thing that you're actually going to commit to? And does this mean you'll be replacing Genshin Impact with this? Or you also
at least you picked a better drug.
Yeah, at least I picked a better replacement. Dude,
see, I don't know about that.
Is that when I started this game, I started at the start of this week, and then just yesterday they updated the maps to be Christmas themed. I wasn't ready for that. So it was really cool to see that change in real time.
That's the MMO classic too, always throwing their seasonal decorations up.
Dude, I gotta keep playing to see what Halloween looks like now.
You can go buy silly things at like vendors probably.
Probably.
Throw some snowballs at people.
Hell yeah,
if I had any money, I would. I mean, in-game money.
They gate money in that game?
I don't know if RuneScape.
I don't know. I'm just getting like no gil, even from doing quests. But I think I just haven't gotten to the gil money getting part yet. I don't know.
I'm sure you'll get there eventually.
I haven't hit the right progression.
Oh no, you've not hit the right skill check, bro.
I haven't chopped enough trees yet.
Exactly. Get to chopping, bro. Get to chopping. The only MMO I loved, Club Penguin. What a great MMO that was, bro. What a great MMO.
I never played that one.
Dude, I loved Club Penguin as a kid. It was great. It also was terrible because they knew what they were doing. They were like, your penguin can't wear clothes and you can't have the cool pet unless you get your mum's credit card out and tell them and give us $8 a month.
That's how they get you.
It was how they got you. And it worked, let me tell you, Hunter. It worked, my friend. It worked. It's I don't know. I'll never play Final. I can say that without a doubt. I'll never play Final Fantasy 14. Never.
Why not? It's not gonna. It's free to play.
Don't care.
Oh man. If they could condense it down into like the most important parts and give it to me on a disc, I'd consider
it. You mean like what they did with the Dragon Quest MMO? Is it Dragon Quest?
Did Dragon Quest do that with an MMO?
Yeah, Dragon Quest have an MMO.
I feel like I've seen John Cartwright talk about it on Twitter, so I feel like it must be. Is it Dragon Quest? I swear, because they did like an offline version of Dragon Quest MMO. I swear, yeah, Dragon Quest 10's an MMO. That was it. They did an offline version of Dragon Quest 10 for Japanese audiences, and because Dragon Quest 10 isn't localized, so it's only it's only in Japan. People were like, "Fucking translate that into English so we can have 10." So I was like,
yeah. So if they did something like that with Final Fantasy 14, I don't know, maybe when they eventually someday pull the plug the same time that Pokemon ends.
Dude, I can't believe Ash is dead. It feels bad.
No, right? But if and when they eventually do that, then maybe I'd play it, but I don't foresee it happening in any time in the future for me.
I love that. It's a lot.
It is a lot, bro. It's a lot. I'm just not about it. I'm just not about that long grind. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna catch up on One Piece. I'm not gonna play Final Fantasy 14. It would be a great game though to see which happens first.
If you could do both at
one on each monitor,
one
on each monitor, see which one happens first. Yeah, what a great idea. Go on, Kyle. I believe.
I don't want to watch One Piece.
You know what you could watch instead?
That's too many.
A better show, Full Metal Alchemist. Get to it.
Dude, I was gonna watch Bleach the other day. I was gonna start that, and then I saw it was like 300 episodes, and I'm just like, okay, nah.
Why don't you watch the entirety of Ash's journey from start to end, Kyle? And then you could get ready.
All 20 years of it.
Because I've been watching it unfold on Twitter.
They are rabid, to be fair. They are rabid. I feel like that's going to be something to watch. Like 2023 is going to be a crazy year, but watching that unfold is going to be something. Like I say, I haven't watched the anime like since I was a kid, probably. Like I saw bits and pieces of X and Y because everyone was like X and Y is the best. Like it was really good, so I watched some of it, and I was like, yeah, you're right, it is really good. And it's mainly just because the characters are actually likable again. And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
the
that
characters
fucking makes
have
a
character,
change, doesn't it?
It's great.
Like, don't get me wrong, I hate the Selena fucking simps on Twitter. They fucking annoy. I don't know how they get into my timeline. I don't like Pokemon. I don't know how they get there sometimes, but they get there and they're annoying. But I understand why, because she is a good character. But you know, I'm just like, man, it's time. It's time for Ash to go, bro. It's time. Wave goodbye. It's time for him to go. It's been 25 years. Ash has been on this journey as long as I've been alive. It's time to fucking pack it up, bro. It's time to pack it up. And I don't know if that says more about Ash or me, to be honest. That's kind of crazy.
I'm just imagining the Grim Reaper meme except applied to Ash, the more he's like, it's time to go. And then he asks, like, was I good or whatever?
A good protagonist.
I think it will be extremely interesting to see what happens to like Pokemon as a quote unquote brand after this, because it's like Pikachu is the face of Pokemon mainly because of the anime. So it's like I don't know what, like, obviously Pikachu will still stay relevant and will still very much be the face of it, but it's like, will Pikachu lose its impact a bit? Like, will other Pokemon kind of will Eevee start creeping up a bit more? Because I feel like Eevee was already like on the heel, like second place. Like whenever it's not a Pikachu, it's an Eevee. So I'm like, no one's gonna ever overtake Pikachu. But if like Pikachu was like here and Eevee's currently here, I can 100% see Pikachu not being in the anime anymore, like moving Eevee up to like here, like, you know what I mean, like slowly rise up.
Charizard exist on this totem pole?
Oh, he has his own totem pole.
He has his own totem pole, yeah.
He has 7 of his own totem poles, actually.
Hey.
One for all of his different forms.
And I mean, I'm not saying this because I'm an Eevee fan or whatever, but Eevee's a pretty good mascot because Eevee could like basically evolves into nearly all the time. We need to just keep that train going. More Eevees, more types, because then Eevee's perfect because Eevee evolves into every type, and then there you go. But hey, you have fun, anime fans. I'll probably see what it's about, mainly just because I love this shit show that's happening on Twitter. To be honest, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great fun. They're gonna hate when the new protagonist is Ash's kid. They're gonna hate when it's not Ash's kid. They're gonna hate whatever happens, and I'll be there for it. It's gonna be great. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned?
I don't think so.
Anything else? You have any opinions on the 6 million Horizon games that have been leaked or whatever that was? Did you see that? Any opinions on that?
They need to relax.
On the Horizon Monster Hunter game or Horizon 3 or whatever it was?
Oh God, I definitely don't care about the Horizon Monster Hunter game. Is that also supposed to be the MMO, or are they splitting those?
No, that's separate. The MMO is separate. So there's an MMO, there's the Monster Hunter game, and then there's Horizon 3. And I think my favorite.
I was hoping that they would be the same thing. That way I could just put them both into the same box if I don't care about.
Yeah, so the external project is the MMO, the online game featuring a new cast of characters is the Monster Hunter game, and then new solo adventures with Aloy, which, to me, the way that they say adventures makes me not even think that it's a trilogy, and we might keep fucking going on this, and I'm like, oh god, here we go.
Possibly, who knows, but
and I do want to give a special shout out to Blessing for his amazing tweet, which was just, and all of them will release alongside a generation-defining masterpiece, because it is true. Look out for those Horizon release dates, because within the month there'll be something incredible on the way as well. Don't you worry.
I can't believe that Horizon Monster Hunter is going to come out at the same time as the return of Metal Gear Solid.
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me.
I just want to say, I had no idea what you two were talking about, and hearing Horizon MMO really threw me for a loop. I wasn't prepared for those words.
All I'd say about the Horizon MMO is it'll probably have the worst tutorial of all time, because Horizon 2's fucking intro was disgustingly terrible. So imagine an MMO with that.
Well, so was Horizon
where half the game
2's is worse, like way worse. Like,
oh, good.
I think the only conversation I have concurrently had with people about Horizon, other than people saying I loved the game, this is the conversation that I always have. Horizon 2 is fantastic, but man, is the first 2 hours the worst thing I've ever played in my life. And I'm like, you know what? Same. It's really bad.
Yeah. We even
Big sell. I can't believe Elden Ring won Game of the Year. Can you? Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Wild.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think we have anything else that we need to talk about. I think we're good.
I think that does it.
The video games are taking vacation for the rest of the year, so.
And so are we.
Bye.
Bye. No, we will have episodes
in January.
Yeah. Unlike every other podcast that has a break in the holidays, we're just going to work double so that you guys don't see a difference and we see no returns. So, thumbs up on that one. Because no one will listen at Christmas anyway, but we do it for fun. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're there for you on that incredible week between Christmas and New Year's when nothing happens. We got you for at least an hour.
Yeah. Just saying, if you're at like a family Christmas party, just like slide your AirPods in.
Yeah. Or even better, gather everybody's phones and play it on every device. And remember, Play at 0.5 speed, better watch time, guys. That's the spirit. That's why I speak so fast, is so that you guys slow it down. That's the reason. Anyway, links are on screen right now.
What do Kyle and I sound like when that happens?
Who knows? It's all about me, Hunter. You know I'm a narcissist. Anyway, go and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with everything on the podcast. You know, you can do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You do what you want. Oh man. Anyway, I've got to do the pro, haven't I?
We'll see you guys next time.
No,
Bye.
No. Follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly. Subscribe youtube.com/HotGamersOnly. And if you don't want to look at our stupid faces, that's cool. Go to your favorite podcast service, search for Hot Gamers Only, where you can find us on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're on it. Head to the link tree in the description. You know the jazz. It's all fun and games, man. It's all fun and games. Now, bye. No, but thank you ever so much for listening / watching. This week. Next week we'll do all of our game of the year discussions so that we're ready. We'll be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed for 2023, which will definitely have so many amazing video games that definitely won't get delayed. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great year. I have a feeling.
We have until January 1st to hold on to this hope.
Yeah, exactly. And then the copium begins when something on January 3rd gets delayed instantly. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. But hey, it'll be all fun. We'll see. But anyway, we will be back, same time, same place, next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week. Have an awesome holiday if you celebrate it. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.